Do you hear that? No. Not the noise outside your window, not the voices in your house, not the endless parade of notifications begging for your attention, like starving dogs fighting over scraps. I mean that sound underneath all of it. That strange silence. That terrifying silence that appears right before everything changes, because that's where it happened. 7 seconds. 7 pathetic, microscopic, insignificant seconds. The amount of time most people waste deciding what video to click next. The amount of time it takes for someone to destroy a dream. The amount of time it takes for someone to become one. And somewhere in those 7 seconds, a man stood in front of a world full of experts, critics, analysts, doubters, parasites, spectators, and professional cynics, and put his legacy on the line. Not because he was certain, not because he was safe, but because he understood something you have been desperately trying to avoid your entire life. The future does not belong to the smartest. It belongs to the most dangerous. And dangerous doesn't mean violent. Dangerous means unpredictable. Dangerous means becoming impossible to calculate. Dangerous means forcing reality itself to hesitate before deciding what to do with you. You see, everybody tells you to become consistent, predictable, reliable, safe. But every revolution in human history was started by someone who terrified the system because nobody could predict their next move. Think about that. The world worships certainty, yet every breakthrough comes from uncertainty. The world praises stability, yet evolution is born from chaos. The world teaches obedience, yet every legend was created through rebellion. That's the paradox. That's the joke. That's why they call me the Joker. Because the punchline isn't funny. The punchline is that everything you've been taught to avoid is exactly what you need. Pain, humiliation, failure, rejection, isolation. Those aren't obstacles. Those are laboratories. Every scar on your mind is unfinished technology. Every betrayal is intelligence gathering. Every heartbreak is an upgrade disguised as a funeral. But you keep treating pain like an enemy. Pain isn't your enemy. Pain is the last honest teacher left. Look around. Everybody wants motivation. Nobody wants transformation. Because transformation is ugly. Transformation means the version of you that exists today has to die. Not physically, psychologically. The weak version, the needy version, the version addicted to approval, the version checking whether people like them, the version terrified of being misunderstood. That version has to go. And here's the part nobody tells you. Its death hurts a lot. Because identities don't leave quietly. They scream, they beg, they negotiate. They convince you to stay small. They whisper, just be normal. Just fit in. Just stop trying. Just survive. And most people obey. Most people spend their entire lives decorating cages. They call it comfort. They call it realism. They call it maturity. But underneath all those sophisticated words is one ugly truth. Fear. Pure fear. Fear wearing a business suit. Fear wearing a smile. Fear pretending to be wisdom. And then there's you, the person watching this. The person who keeps feeling something strange. Something difficult to explain. Something that refuses to die. You know what it is? Potential. Not the cute motivational poster version. The terrifying version. The version that keeps you awake at night. The version that whispers, what if you're capable of much more than this? What if this isn't your final form? What if the life you're living right now is only the tutorial level? That thought scares people. Not because it's impossible, because it might be true. And truth is dangerous. Truth destroys comfortable lies. Truth burns bridges to places you secretly know you were never supposed to stay. Truth forces evolution. That's why people attack dreamers. Not because dreamers are weak, because dreamers are contagious. A single person who refuses to surrender becomes evidence. Evidence that excuses are optional. Evidence that limitations are negotiable. Evidence that the impossible might just be a crowded waiting room full of cowards. And cowards hate evidence. That's why they'll laugh. Let them. They laughed yesterday. They'll study you tomorrow. They'll mock your vision. Then they'll copy it. They'll question your decisions. Then they'll imitate them. They'll call you crazy. Then they'll pretend they believed in you all along. Human nature is fascinating. People don't trust transformation until they can profit from it. Remember that. The crowd loves winners, but it tortures the process that creates them, which brings us back to those 7 seconds. Because history changes in moments, not decades. Moments. The decade only notices afterward. One decision, one risk, one terrifying leap, one refusal to quit, one moment where somebody chooses courage over certainty, and suddenly reality splits into 2 timelines: the life you would have lived and the life you chose. Most people never understand this. They think destiny arrives like lightning. No, destiny arrives disguised as a decision, small, quiet, forgettable, until years later when you realize everything changed because of it. That's why your greatest weapon isn't intelligence, it isn't talent, it isn't luck. It's your willingness to move before certainty arrives. Because certainty never arrives. Not for legends, not for innovators, not for warriors, not for you. The people you admire weren't fearless. They were simply more afraid of regret than failure. Read that again inside your soul. They were more afraid of regret than failure. Failure hurts. Regret haunts. Failure leaves scars. Regret builds prisons. Failure teaches. Regret tortures. One makes you stronger. The other makes you old before your time. So which one are you carrying? Which ghost follows you? The ghost of action or the ghost of hesitation? Because hesitation is a predator. It waits. It studies. It feeds on your potential one day at a time, until eventually you become a spectator in your own life, watching, observing, analyzing, planning, preparing, waiting, forever waiting. Meanwhile, someone less talented but more reckless walks straight through the door you were busy studying, and that's when the pain starts. Not because they succeeded, because deep down you know you could have too. Now listen carefully. There are 2 creatures living inside you, an angel and a demon. The angel wants meaning. The demon wants power. The angel wants peace. The demon wants conquest. The angel wants connection. The demon wants domination. Most people waste their lives choosing one. The real game is learning how to use both. Because the angel without the demon becomes helpless. The demon without the angel becomes self-destructive. But together they become unstoppable. Compassion with teeth, kindness with boundaries, vision with aggression, purpose with intensity. That's where true power lives. Not in light, not in darkness, but in your ability to command both. That's evolution. Not becoming good, not becoming evil, becoming conscious. Conscious enough to choose. Conscious enough to wield every part of yourself instead of pretending parts don't exist. Because whatever you refuse to control eventually controls you. And the moment you understand that, the moment you stop running from your shadows, The moment you stop apologizing for your ambition. The moment you stop seeking permission from people who surrendered years ago. Everything changes. Not gradually, violently, like a dam exploding, like a chain snapping, like a sleeping giant opening its eyes after decades, and suddenly the world looks different. The obstacles look smaller, the critics sound weaker, the fear becomes background noise, not because fear disappeared, because you finally became larger than it. That is what those 7 seconds were really about. Not technology, not business, not reputation, not legacy, choice, a single choice, the decision to bet everything on possibility, and whether you realize it or not. You're standing in your own 7 seconds right now, right here, right now. This moment, this exact breath, this exact heartbeat, this exact decision. The old version of you is waiting. The future version of you is waiting. Only one survives. So, choose carefully. Because years from now, people will call what happens next luck. They'll call it destiny. They'll call it talent. They'll call it timing. They'll call it everything except what it really was. 7 seconds, one decision, and the courage to become someone the world could no longer predict. Now smile, not because everything is okay. Smile because you're finally dangerous, and dangerous people change the world. That smile, keep it. Not the fake smile you wear when people ask how you're doing. Not the polite smile designed to make strangers comfortable. Not the exhausted smile of someone pretending they're fine while their soul is dragging itself across broken glass. No, the other smile. The one that appears when something inside you finally snaps. The smile that appears when you stop begging reality to be fair. Because fairness is one of the greatest scams ever sold to human beings. Nobody promised fairness. The universe never signed that contract. The wolves don't apologize to the deer. The storm doesn't apologize to the city. The fire doesn't apologize to the forest. Nature doesn't negotiate. It transforms. And somehow people expect their own evolution to be painless. That's adorable. Pain is the entry fee. Pain is the admission ticket. Pain is the secret password spoken at the gates of every extraordinary life. You want confidence? Good. Then survive embarrassment. You want strength? Good. Then survive pressure. You want greatness? Good. Then survive misunderstanding. Because every level of power comes with a level of loneliness most people aren't prepared for. That's why the crowd stays average. Average is comfortable. Average is social. Average gets invited to parties. Average receives approval. Average never scares anybody. But average also never changes anything. And deep down, you know that. That's why you're here. That's why your eyes keep returning to ideas that make other people uncomfortable. Because there is a war happening inside you. Not a war between success and failure. That's too simple. A war between who you've been and who you're becoming. And the terrifying thing about transformation is that the future version of you often looks like a threat to the current version. Think about it. The future version of you wakes up earlier, acts faster, thinks differently, takes bigger risks, demands more from life, refuses excuses, refuses weakness, refuses victimhood. To your current identity, that version looks insane, dangerous, extreme, unreasonable, which is exactly why your current identity keeps trying to sabotage it. You call it procrastination. You call it self-doubt. You call it laziness. But underneath all those labels is something darker. Identity protection. Your mind isn't always trying to help you grow. Sometimes it's trying to keep you familiar. Even if familiar is miserable, even if familiar is killing your potential, even if familiar is destroying your future one comfortable day at a time. That's why growth feels unnatural. Growth is rebellion. Growth is betrayal. Growth is telling the old version of yourself, "You got me this far, but you're not taking me any further." And that hurts, because you've spent years becoming who you are, years constructing habits, years building beliefs, years collecting fears, years creating limits. Then one day you realize, most of them aren't even yours. Someone gave them to you. A teacher, a parent, a bully, a failure, a heartbreak, a humiliating moment you never recovered from. And suddenly you're carrying prisons built by ghosts. Ghosts who aren't even present anymore. Yet they still influence your decisions, still shape your future, still dictate your confidence. That's insanity. Absolute insanity. Imagine letting a stranger hold the steering wheel of your car for 20 years. You'd never do it. Yet people let old wounds drive their lives every single day. One rejection from 10 years ago, still driving. One betrayal from childhood, still driving. One failure nobody remembers, still driving. One criticism spoken by someone irrelevant, still driving. And then people wonder why they feel stuck. Of course, you're stuck. You're trying to move forward while dragging a graveyard behind you. So let me ask you something. What happens when the chains break? What happens when the ghosts lose their authority? What happens when the memory remains but the emotional ownership disappears? That's when things become interesting. That's when people start calling you different. You've heard that word before, haven't you? Different. It's almost always meant as an insult before it becomes a compliment. Funny how that works. The same people who worship legends would have mocked them before they became legends. Human beings have a strange addiction. They want originality after it's proven. Before it's proven, they call it stupidity. They want courage after it succeeds. Before it succeeds, they call it recklessness. They want vision after it wins. Before it wins, they call it delusion. The crowd is rarely early. The crowd is usually late. Very late. That's why you cannot use applause as a compass. Because if you wait for agreement, you'll die average. If you wait for validation, you'll die unfinished. If you wait for certainty, you'll die waiting. You have to become comfortable moving through darkness. Not because darkness is pleasant, because darkness is where creation happens. Look at the seed, buried. Look at the diamond, crushed. Look at the star, exploding. Everything powerful is born from pressure. Everything meaningful is forged inside conditions that would make weaker things collapse. So why would you be different? Why would your evolution be exempt? Why would your story avoid the furnace that created every other extraordinary story? It won't. And that's beautiful, because the furnace reveals things. Pressure exposes truth. Pressure removes masks. Pressure strips away illusion. Pressure introduces you to yourself, not the version you imagined, the version that actually exists, the version that appears when everything goes wrong, the version that appears when nobody is watching, the version that appears when excuses stop working. That's the real you. And here's the terrifying secret. The real you is much more powerful than the version you've been performing. Much more dangerous, much more resilient, much more relentless. You just haven't met that version completely yet. Life keeps trying to introduce you through chaos, through setbacks, through pain, through failure, through humiliation. But every time the introduction begins, you run, you escape, you distract yourself, you numb yourself, you scroll, you consume, you avoid, and the introduction gets postponed again and again and again, until one day reality corners you. No exits, no distractions, no shortcuts, no escape routes, just you and the person you've been avoiding becoming. That's the moment that changes everything. Not when you win, not when you succeed, not when you become famous, not when people finally believe in you. No, the moment everything changes is when you stop negotiating with your own potential. When you stop saying, maybe later. When you stop saying, one day. When you stop saying, when the time is right. Because the time is never right. The time becomes right because you move. Action creates clarity. Movement creates momentum. Commitment creates identity. And identity creates destiny. That's why those 7 seconds mattered. Because somebody moved, while others hesitated. Somebody acted, while others analyzed. Somebody jumped, while others calculated. And history always remembers the jumper. Not the calculator, not the observer, not the spectator. The jumper. The person willing to risk looking foolish. The person willing to risk being wrong. The person willing to risk losing. Because hidden inside every massive victory is a willingness to survive massive embarrassment. And most people never discover their power because they are addicted to protecting their pride. Protecting pride is expensive. It costs dreams. It costs opportunities. It costs adventures. It costs futures. You protect your ego long enough, and eventually you'll have nothing left worth protecting. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's finally time to become unpredictable. Maybe it's time to stop behaving like a prisoner applying for permission slips. Maybe it's time to stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Maybe it's time to stop shrinking so insecure people can feel tall. Maybe it's time to stop apologizing for your ambition. Maybe it's time to stop pretending your fire is too much. Because it isn't too much. It was never too much. The truth is simpler. Your fire reminds people of the flame they abandoned in themselves, and that makes them uncomfortable. Let them be uncomfortable. Your job isn't to become smaller. Your job is to become undeniable. And the beautiful thing, you're closer than you think. Much closer. One decision away, one commitment away, one act of courage away, one refusal away, one moment away, 7 seconds away, maybe less. And that's the part they never understand. They think the transformation happened when the world noticed you. It didn't. The transformation happened when you stopped needing the world to notice, when you finally understood that applause is rented, respect is borrowed, attention is temporary, but self-respect, that's ownership, that's forever. The day you stop performing for spectators is the day you become dangerous. Figure that now your actions aren't powered by approval. They're powered by purpose. And purpose is terrifying. Purpose doesn't ask for permission. Purpose doesn't check the room. Purpose doesn't wait for consensus. Purpose moves, even when it's afraid, especially when it's afraid. Because courage was never the absence of fear. Courage is fear chained to a mission. Remember that. The angel inside you wants to create. The demon inside you wants to conquer. For years they've been fighting, pulling you in opposite directions. But tonight they shake hands. The angel gives the demon a reason. The demon gives the angel the strength. And suddenly you're no longer divided. You're focused. You're aligned. You're becoming. Not the version people expected. Not the version people wanted. The version you were always supposed to be. The one hidden underneath the doubt, underneath the fear, underneath the years of conditioning, underneath the voices telling you to stay small. That version is waking up right now. And that's why those 7 seconds mattered. Not because a man risked his legacy, because they revealed something about yours. Every life contains a moment where comfort and destiny stand in the same room, a moment where safety asks you to stay, and greatness asks you to jump. Most people choose safety. That's why history only remembers a few names, the few who jumped, the few who bet on themselves, the few who stared into uncertainty and smiled. So when this ends, when the screen goes dark, when the noise returns, ask yourself one question. If your future was watching you right now, would it be proud of your next move? Or would it be begging you to finally stop hesitating? Because the clock is already ticking. The 7 seconds have already started. And somewhere in the distance, the person you're capable of becoming is waiting. Not patiently, not forever. Waiting for you to make the decision that changes everything. Now go and make reality nervous.